heard? What's the one word that just pops into your head? I'm willing to bet it's something like cunning or sly or clever, right? It's a character that's so ingrained in our culture it feels like it's just always been a thing. But have you ever really thought about why? I mean, why the fox? Of all the animals out there, how did this one creature get stuck with the clever label for like thousands of years? And this isn't just a local thing. It's a reputation that's crossed cultures, continents, and even changed entire languages. Alright, so in this explainer, we are going to trace the journey of the cunning fox. We're going to follow the breadcrumbs from the real-world animal all the way back to our most ancient stories to figure out how this stereotype got so powerful that it's still a huge deal today. And you see this character everywhere, don't you? Think about it. You've got the super dapper, heroic family guy, and fantastic Mr. Fox. Then you have the charming rascal Todd and the Fox and the Hound. Different stories, different vibes. But the core idea, it's always the same. The fox is the one with the master plan. So the big question is, did storytellers just make this all up? Or is this whole cunning fox thing actually based on some real-life truth? Well, let's go find out. We're on the hunt for the origin story of the clever fox. So, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look in two key places. First, the real world, actual fox behavior. And second, the ancient stories that first gave these animals a voice and a personality. And what's so wild is how closely the fiction lines up with the facts. I mean, for centuries, people watched foxes do some pretty incredible stuff. We're talking about them learning to avoid traps, outsmarting entire packs of hunting dogs, and just being masters of adapting to new places. So you see, the storytellers, they didn't invent the fox's intelligence, they just, well, they gave it a personality. And the way they did this was through a special type of story called a beast fable. You probably know these. They're short, catchy tales where animals act like people, and there's always a moral at the end. And guess who became the breakout star of the beast fable world? Yep, the fox. Let's take a classic example from Aesop, The Fox and the Crow. A fox spots a crow up in a tree with a tasty piece of cheese. Now, he can't climb, so what's his move? He uses his brain. He starts laying on the charm, telling the crow how beautiful she is and how he'd love to hear her amazing voice. And of course, the moment the crow opened her beak to sing, plop, down goes the cheese, right into the fox's waiting jaws. But hey, the fox doesn't always come out on top. In another fable, The Fox and the Stork, the fox pulls a nasty prank. He serves the stork soup on a flat plate, so she can't drink it with her long beak. But the stork is clever too. She gets her revenge by inviting him over and serving dinner in a super tall, skinny jar that his snout can't fit into. The moral of the story? What goes around, comes around. Tricksters can get tricked too. And this idea wasn't just in one place, it was ancient and it was everywhere. You find the cunning fox in Aesop's fables over in Greece. You find it in the ancient Indian stories of the Panchatantra. It even shows up in the New Testament. When Jesus calls King Herod a fox, he's not talking about the animal. It was shorthand for cunning and sly, and everyone listening knew exactly what he meant. Okay, but this whole reputation didn't just stay put in old fables. Oh no. When we get to medieval Europe, this idea gets so big, so powerful, that it, wait for it, literally changes an entire language. So check out how this all went down. For more than 1,000 years, the fox's rep as a trickster is just simmering, building up, then boom. In the 1100s, a collection of stories about a fox named Reynard becomes a total blockbuster in France. This character, Reynard, was the ultimate trickster. He was always outsmarting bigger, tougher animals like the wolf and the bear. And you have to imagine, for people back then, living in a world where might makes right, these stories about a little guy winning with his brains, they were absolutely irresistible. And here is where it gets truly wild. The character of Reynard, or Renard in French, became so incredibly famous, so completely linked with the animal, that people just stopped using the old word for fox. They started calling all foxes Renards. And eventually, this new name completely took over, replacing the original old French word, which was goupil. Think about that. A fictional character's name became the real-life word for an animal. Now that is some serious influence. But the story doesn't stop in the Middle Ages, not by a long shot. Modern storytellers grabbed this powerful idea of the cunning fox and started putting their own spins on it, in some really fascinating ways. You want to see a perfect example? Look no further than The Fox and the Hound. The original book from 1967, it's dark. It's a super realistic story about the harsh realities of nature. It's basically a lifelong, brutal hunt that ends tragically for both the fox and the hound. But then Disney gets its hands on it, and they turn it into this heartwarming tearjerker about an unlikely friendship. So the cunning needed for sheer survival in the book gets transformed into the cleverness needed to save a friendship in the movie. Same core idea, totally different meaning. So you see, that word cunning can be bent and shaped in all sorts of ways. Is it the kind of selfish, immoral trickster we see in Aesop's fables? Or is it the heroic, brave family man from Fantastic Mr. Fox? Or maybe it's the grim, desperate survivor from that original novel. The key ingredient, the intelligence, is always there. But whether that intelligence is used for good, for bad, or just for survival, well, that completely depends on the storyteller. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Let's finally answer that big question we started with. Why is the fox always the clever one in our stories?
It really boils down to a four-step process that's created this amazing feedback loop over centuries. Step 1, it all starts with the real animal's actual intelligence. Step 2, ancient storytellers see this and they bake it into these sticky, memorable fables. Step 3, those fables get a massive boost from the super popular medieval stories like Reynard the Fox. And finally, Step 4, modern storytellers and filmmakers keep the legacy going, reimagining the cunning fox for every new generation.
So, if you take away one thing, let it be this. The cunning fox wasn't invented by one person or in one book. It's something that grew naturally, organically, over thousands of years of humans just watching this truly intelligent animal. And, our fundamental need to tell stories about the world. And maybe even see a little bit of ourselves reflected in the creatures we share it with. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. We seem to love the trickster, don't we? The underdog who wins with brains, not brawn. So, what does our endless fascination with the cunning fox really say about the kinds of cleverness we secretly admire in ourselves?